So this is Nate. Everybody knows that Nate is probably the tallest one in the class. So let's watch his sagittal gait real quick. And so already you might have seen that Nate has a premature heel rise. So let's watch his left foot right here. So his left foot is in foot flat, and as he progresses into mid-swing, right when he ends mid-swing, that heel, that left heel has already started to come off the ground. Now again, typically we're not going to see the heel come off into the heel off phase until we hit contralateral like terminal swing just before heel strike. So to there, but at that point we've already gotten into our concentric plantar flexion and has already progressed to the point that we're ready for toe off. So again, you see that there, and then let's look at the right foot. So as the left foot progresses to mid-swing, you see the right heel kind of come up a little early. So the left definitely comes up way earlier than the right, but you definitely see that right foot coming up during deceleration, like early terminal swing. The left significantly early, so left is coming up during right mid-swing. And then let's look from the frontal view. So as expected, we see a little bit of supination during our toe off, and then maybe due to a little bit of decreased dorsiflexion, we have a little bit of eversion during swing, and then he brings it back from eversion to inversion just before initial contact on the right, and then see that left toe off, supination, and then he whips that heel medially and the forefoot goes into abduction. And you see the slightest bit of valgus moment. So if I were to take a snapshot right there, and then kind of draw, it's hard with pants, but distal so the distal medial and lateral malleolus, that midline falls lateral. Okay, so if we kind of just draw a little line in the midline of the femur, look, that's a valgus moment. And same thing on the left. A little bit more pronounced there. And he's definitely got a little bit of a circumduction. So he kind of abducts the foot and then whips it back immediately, but he's definitely got an increased width in his gait. So, and that could just be from a little bit of Genu valgus, but typically we don't see that much spacing between heel strike to heel strike, so the width of his feet and where they kind of fall, if you draw like a straight line, it's pretty wide. So he just kind of has a wider stance. Okay. So what we saw was decreased dorsiflexion in the sagittal plane during terminal stance. So right there, his end range dorsiflexion during stance is about right there. And then he starts to raise the heel up. On the left, same thing. He hits peak dorsiflexion about right there. And as you can see, it's not a whole lot of dorsiflexion. Now, could that be because of tight calves? That would be my assumption. So especially in very tall individuals, this happens quite early in kids where, especially boys, when they just happen to grow overnight, like they grow a foot overnight, it seems. What happens sometimes is these long bones, so the tibia and the tibia and the femur, they just grow, like shoot up really, really fast, and then the soft tissue doesn't really catch up to it as fast. So the bones end up growing a little bit faster than the muscle tissue can lengthen. And so what happens is the heel cords or the Achilles tendons, so the plantar flexors and the hamstrings, can get really tight. So pretty much our flexor muscles, they get pretty tight. So what happens is the tighter they get, the less dorsiflexion I'm going to allow, because now I'm pretty much hitting my peak dorsiflexion a little bit early. So we don't like to use our end range dorsiflexion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to become a little bit tonic in the plantar flexors and just prevent maximum dorsiflexion, and just kind of go into a little bit of early heel rise to keep me from stretching my gastrocsoleus and my Achilles tendon too much, because we never want to push our joints into end range just to walk, right? We're gonna kind of have a reflex to kind of avoid excessive stretching of our soft tissues. So that when it's excessive, that can be fixed surgically when they're a kid. Sometimes when it's like super, super bad and kids are literally just walking on their toes and their heels kind of like never hit the ground, what they'll do is they'll do a release in the heel cords or the Achilles tendon, and then actually physiologically lengthen the Achilles tendons, and that will allow a little bit more dorsiflexion. But obviously this is not exaggerated enough to really see like a toe walking gait. But this is just like a slight deviation where we see just an early heel rise due to decreased dorsiflexion or decreased use of dorsiflexion. Now, could Nate have like 15 degrees of dorsiflexion available? Absolutely. But does he use it? No. And I wouldn't know that until I take a goniometric measurement on the table. But it doesn't mean that he's going to use it on the floor under load. So you can say this is a deviation, but is it